All right, it is 7:15 a.m. and you're looking at what's supposed to be, again, this is engineered light, but this is supposed to be the illusion that it's sunlight. It's also appearing behind my bedroom door. Understand that this is coming through a crack in the door. All right, you see my finger? This is coming through the crack in the door. This is super magnification of light coming through closed blinds and in the living room window. And you're looking at, in the evening, over building 1818, where you saw the light source, which was the moon, over this same building. This is where the entity is setting the light source. This is where the entity is placing a moon also. And this is the engineered light that's aiming into the depths. And understand that this is just one method. This is concentrated light. I also want you to look at it. It's got like texture to it. This is not sunlight. That's not coming from the sun. Also, the documentation, which I'll remind you of, the Ontario Police Department is group stalking on Hope Boulevard, where the sun is directly over me in Ontario. After I get up from the Ontario Museum of History and Arts at 225 South Euclid Avenue in Ontario, California, there is no sun that's over the hillside in Los Angeles. There is no sunlight that's going to arrive inside of my apartment. This is the documentation that I have been capturing for a prolonged period. This is the direct evidence against the state of California and the people of the state who are in relevant position in this particularly the specifically maintained environment for what's a criminal purpose. This is surveillance that's ongoing inside of the private space. This is documentation of what is a sex offense, not only because it's occurring in the private space, but because this is also a molestation of the physical person of the targeted individual, which is an unlawful touching for a criminal purpose by the people of the state who are also demon possessed, which is denoting what is the terrorism that the target individual is subject to. Not only the demon possession of the entity that's monitoring, but the demonic environment that is surrounding the targeted individual, which is also what you're looking at. And so at 7:15 in the morning in Ontario, California, which is, again, just one property, but the Ontario Police Department are group stalking on Hope Boulevard specifically. That same intersection, I published documentation about this yesterday. At Hope and Euclid Avenue, the sun is both rising and setting in alignment to me. That's 7:15 in the morning, and then it's after 7 o'clock in the evening where the entity is maintaining a light source. And in that specific environment, you're understanding what is never going to be the sun that's going to be visible here. But you also know that in Ontario, that's capturing the specific environment because that's not possibly the sun. So by virtue of your seeing the light source here, you're understanding what is the specific environment. There is no sunlight that's ever going to occur in my apartment. If that was, again, you already know that that's not the sun in Ontario, that's a specific environment, but you're systematically analyzing because it's serving for what is a criminal prosecution. So you can go through the analysis because it's not rocket science. Like I said, this is an ongoing admission. The entity is maintaining a light source at the intersection of Hope Boulevard and Euclid Avenue, where you see the Ontario Police Department group stalking systematically utilizing the channels of interstate commerce that is in traffic. And as I capture a video of those demons driving the Ontario Police Department vehicle, they immediately react by making a U-turn, turning on their vehicle lights. Another demon in a truck starts sounding. These are the elements of monitoring that are occurring with simultaneity to my identifying their demonic behavioral pattern. It's occurring under the light source. It's at 7:15 in the morning, approximately 7:15, 7:14 in the morning at Hope Boulevard and Euclid Avenue, that same intersection where the entity is setting a light source. There is no sun that's going to be present. In addition, you're going to remember what's here. Again, the entity is keeping a light source it's setting over my over building 1818 on the opposite side of the same apartment out my window. And then the entity is keeping the moon over that same building, which you saw this morning. Those are demons that were in the previous video that was LAPD group stalking. Those are demons that are flying commercial airline planes, and they are engaging in what is massive state surveillance, and they're focused on me. That's called relevant positioning while they're at that elevation, at that distance, and they're monitoring an American citizen inside of their private space. That's capturing the entity using a commercial means of engaging in what is a sex offense, and that is federal group stalking and monitoring. They're also doing it in concert and on behalf of the people of the state who are in a specific environment. I want to point something out to you. You're looking at engineered light that's just appearing on the top of an apartment. That is not sunlight. That's again, all you have to do is pay attention to detail. Not only, that's just light that's touching. The people of the state all live in relevant position. You're never supposed to be aware of the presence of this environment, and this is a blatant admission, and this is going to be crucial evidence, and no person that is the people of the state do not have any legal defense. This is prosecuting that secret society that's engaging in a demonic, ritualistic targeting system. They're monitoring you, and you didn't know it, but you know it now, and they don't have a constitutional defense. And while they're surrounding you with a demonic environment, which is terrorism, that's my tea kettle, never mind that. The entity is engaging in what is the maintenance of a specific environment, and it's direct evidence against the people of the state. All right, so let me turn this down 1 second. The entity is engaging in the maintenance of a specific environment and documenting in the face of what is evidence that is already establishing its prosecution, in the same way that the entity continuously group stalks and monitors, threatens your life, sexually violates you, terrorizes you with directed light, and doing so in the face of documentation. I want to be clear, like I said, universal waste, that you do not have what is a defense for systematically monitoring. Monitoring is threatening the life of another person. You do not have a constitutional defense, meaning there is nothing that will be legally relevant in federal court when you are civilly and criminally held liable, when you are facing time in federal prison for threatening the life of an American citizen, and that's what monitoring an American citizen on behalf of a government is. It's a threat to your life, it's a threat to your safety, it's a threat to your well-being. The entity, the people of the state, are systematically engaged in this pattern of conduct on behalf of the state, who provide a wealth of documentation against them, okay? The entity is stalking directly in the specific environment, and the specific environment is present because the people of the state maintain vicarious presence who are not coincidentally engaging in the demonic behavioral pattern. They're not coincidentally nor ignorantly in the specific environment. You have the placement of the light source in alignment to my living room window. You have the maintenance of this light source until the end of the day on the opposite side of my apartment that is setting, as though the sun would ever do that. You have the maintenance of engineered light all around, including all over the property, because the people of the state are a demon-possessed entity that are monitoring you, and it's supposed to be surreptitious, it's supposed to be covert. All right, but when you're understanding the pattern of conduct and you're understanding how the demon-possessed are engaging in this, legally, it operates as an ongoing admission. The entity has engaged in conduct which is readily provable because it's in plain sight. That's the malice of the pattern of conduct. And you're flipping that malice on its head. All right, there's nothing hidden, by the way. They can't group stalk and monitor you secretly. By they, I mean the people of the state. They can't do it. They're relying on a system that is providing a massive base, in other words, so that you can maybe universally monitored. And they did it, Satan is doing it through what is supposed to appear as the natural environment. And as NASA will tell you, will admit, there is nothing natural about the sun rising and setting over my apartment from the beginning until the end of the day. There is nothing natural about capturing this same phenomenon in an entirely different location. And there is nothing natural or possible about the fact that that would be occurring at the same time. It is also not possible that while I'm looking at this and documenting this, that the state of Florida has any sun, the same sun, visible in its sky space. I guarantee it. It is currently 7:22 a.m. This is the pattern of conduct. This is an ongoing admission. The people of the state, these are demons that are grouped. I want you to see the entity is group stalking by planes, group stalking by helicopter. All they're doing is engaging in demonic patrolling. They have multiple commercial planes and smaller planes. They're flying in alignment. They're repeatedly crossing path. They're flying and making U-turns. This is heavily documented in the city of Ontario. What I've already documented for a term of years, this is exactly what is being mimicked in Los Angeles. So you already know what the entity is doing, but their pattern of conduct is literally being repeated in Los Angeles because there is no other way for them to do it. I've literally shown you everything that the demon-possessed are doing. And so you can literally reference the documentation of what the entity does via commercial airline planes in the specific environment. And the entity thought, because Ontario Airport is in the city of Ontario, that that's going to be the argument for as to why a paranoid schizophrenic is identifying planes in the sky space. All right, that's the entity that is, again, relying on multiple false premises. The entity is maintaining a specific environment. The entity is engaging in what is the use of a commercial airline plane that is perpetually taking off. When it is far away from the airport and sounding as though the plane is taking off, it's not taking off in the middle of the parking lot of Stater Brothers. The Ontario Airport is far away from the Stater Brothers parking lot, and I'm referencing Hope Boulevard in Ontario. So Amazon Prime is hovering over the Stater Brothers parking lot as though it is just now taking off, and where you are taking off from the airport, it would already be at an elevation that would be higher, and you would not hear it. The entity is engaging in what is the maintenance of amplified audible activity, while demons flying commercial airline planes are in relevant position and also acting pursuant to a demonic behavioral pattern, doing more of that which is documented by it to its own demise. The placement of the presence of an airport is the identification for the federal government to make sure that all the demons that are in possession of licenses, which they will be revoked from having, they will never be able to fly planes and helicopters ever again because it's the specific environment. There's no sun that's rising over the hillside. There's no sunlight that these planes are flying in and around. This is a specific environment, and they're engaging in the pattern of conduct. They're engaging in the demonic behavioral pattern in a specific environment. These are psychopaths that know that they're being documented. That's relevant to the impermissible threat, and they're also engaging in what is The exact same pattern of conduct at the same time where you're looking at, I'm showing you video of what's the sun and you're seeing a plane, and there's video documentation that exists of what's the placement of the sun in an entirely different location, and you have one under no circumstances where it's going to be the sun where they're flying next to it. Okay? The entity is, again, providing evidence against the people of the state. Demons that are flying commercial airline planes are acting pursuant to the same exact pattern of conduct by the demons that fly helicopters. And this is the inability for the people of the state or the people of the state that use commercial airline planes to have any protection. The demons of the LAPD will be disbanded. They're being subject to mental examinations. They're going to federal prison. They will be forever removed from law enforcement. The people of the state are subject to federal prison. The people of the state are subject to civil prosecution for using commercial means for engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring. The people of the state are incriminated by virtue of the LAPD engaging in the pattern of conduct in plain sight while they fly next to the sun. All right, and I'm being facetious when I say the sun because you know that this isn't the sun, and if it was, they would be caught up in flames. All right, this is the demon possessed. This is P.O.C. They're flying next to the sun. This is documentation of what the pattern of conduct that's underway while you see the entity engaging in group stalking in commercial airline planes. And that's American Airlines, Frontier Airlines, that is, I think I documented Spirit Airlines, Amazon Prime, FedEx planes, UPS planes, the entity utilizing, I want to say Alaska Airlines, the entity, in other words, the entire Ontario airport, every airline engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, every single last one. And that's the same thing with LAX. Because you have the maintenance of the specific environment here. And it is also the incrimination of all of the people of the state. I don't need to know their names. They're all going to be subject to a federal prosecution because there's no sunlight that's touching their property. There's no sun that's over their property, near their property, nor for the duration of the day, nor while it's the documentation exists in the state of California where the entity foolishly provided me documentation stating that the sun is remaining over me and the Inland Empire for the duration of the day. There's no sunlight that's ever going to be here. The reason why it's here is because they're monitoring and they're engaged in a perpetual sex offense, and that's going to be appreciated under federal law, and that goes for companies as well. They will be documented. They will be civilly liable for engaging in a sex offense with the government against targeted individuals and to do so through a commercial means. All right, that's a very highly psychotic sex offender that wants to act through companies such as Amazon Prime. All right, and that's exactly how that law is going to work because that's what they're doing. All right, it is currently 7:27 a.m. You see the corrupt law enforcement agency provide the ongoing wealth of documentation against the people of the state. All right, the entity engaging in group stalking by helicopter, the entity engaging in group stalking by commercial airline planes, the entity engaging in group stalking by the people of the state who are in the in relevant position, obsessively stalking in their residences. I want to be clear, where the venue is established, and that's exactly what this is. This is a facilitating venue. Because the sun's not over Hope Boulevard and Euclid Avenue where Ontario police are group stalking at the same time under the light source. Then what's that over Hope Boulevard? Because it's not what's rising over the hillside at Alvarado Gardens and remaining here all day long. And that's how you're going to prosecute the people of the state. All right, it is 7:28 a.m. and this is P.O.C.